A very good morning to everyone of you who's joining us on this live stream of a couch safari from Wilpattu National Park. And if you are experiencing any kind of technical difficulties, we would ask every one of you to refresh the page, and I think this would set your stream correct again.
That's right.
And in case you missed out on the previous couch safari or the earlier moments of this particular excursion, you can always come back to YouTube and watch the entire couch safari.
And even on Facebook.
And on Facebook
That's
as
right.
well. And here we see a curious little talk macaque, young male talk macaque, very iconic resident of the dry zone of Sri Lanka, and actually everywhere around Sri Lanka you get to see talk macaques, these very charismatic monkeys all around Sri Lanka. And here we see a lizard, a garden lizard, so beautiful. When you get close up to one of these guys, you see them all around Sri Lanka once again. You need to keep your eyes open. Oh, and here we see a black-headed ibis, which is feeding on the banks of Villu. So one cool thing about Wilpattu National Park is it's an excellent site for bird watchers as well. You get to see more than 100 species of birds on any good day all around Wilpattu National Park, and it's also a great place to spot migrant birds as well. I think we have Chandika and Vimukti back on the ground.
We're going in for a quick break. Let's see what they have for us when we come back.
Sure.
And we are back to our couch safari of the Wilpattu National Park. Stay home today and travel tomorrow.
Watching wild buffalo, herd of wild buffaloes. This is actually becoming a rare in Sri Lanka now.
Yeah.
Wilpattu is one of the best places to see these wild buffaloes. What happened to the wild buffaloes? They mixed with the domestic buffaloes. And unfortunately, this particular breed is now is slowly diminishing, and that is why it is important. So Wilpattu has a good wild buffalo population. You can see the horns are sort of wider, just spread and goes like this. Whereas the domestic buffaloes, it's very narrow and curved.
Right.
So that's one of the main differences for a general visitor, how to distinguish these two species. Now after the rain, of course, this grass is somewhat, what do you call it?
It's more lush.
Yeah, there's more lush. And that is why this elephant,
The buffaloes are. Is it a big issue, the hybridization? Is it causing a lot of problems?
Well, obviously the original genes are getting mixed up.
It's getting mixed up, right?
And as a result, the wild buffalo genes are very strong because they are naturally occurring species.
Right.
And they are very resistant to the different diseases and things like that. So they are very strong. Whereas the domestic buffaloes doesn't have that kind of a strength, natural strength.
So basically what's happening is the gene pool is getting diluted with weak genes. And
scientifically that's what happens.
And just to say, Mr. Mukti, the leopards, would they have a go at one of these big ones, or will they take the calves?
Cows, not the big ones. They
Right.
wouldn't attempt for a big one because it's too big for a
For a
leopard.
leopard to take that.
Yeah, but they always go for the cows. And that also, it's a very risky business for leopard,
Yeah.
because if something goes wrong, one horn shot will end leopard's life, because they are very strong.
They're very strong.
They are very strong.
And Mr. Vibhuti, the dynamics of the herd, how does there would be a bull just like the deer? or-
Exactly. There'll be a dominant bull will sort of have the harem,
Right.
multiple females, and then he will have the mating rights of all the young
The
females.
females.
And that best, very strong bull will rule the herd.
Oh, curious sight on the middle of the road, and I think we get to see what he actually looks like. Alright, I think everything is safe for Mr. Star Tortoise to get back walking again.
And I think on Friday, Vimukti and Chandita mentioned that these are slow motion, what were they, armored vehicles.
Yeah. And if that was an armored vehicle, this could be another very interesting vehicle. I don't have an analogy for it right now, but this is a monitor lizard, a very commonly
Very
seen
common, that's right.
seen animal in the dry zone and all around Sri Lanka actually.
And another beautiful view of a villu.
Yes,
right.
and this villu, you can see that this is the height of the dry season in Wilpattu National Park, and you can see that most of the water has evaporated and there's only a little bit of water left, which makes it actually a very interesting place for you to spot an array of different types of wildlife which gets attracted to the remaining water.
That's right, and we have Vimukti and Chandika once again to share with us what they are seeing at the park.
And once again, I think we're back to the same monitor lizard
Just come
that
to
was
this
basking.
fallen tree. There's a bit of sunlight that has fallen onto it, and we've got quite a big lizard trying to charge its batteries. It's getting its morning dose of sunshine. So we've come here to what we'd say, it's
Warm up his body.
warming up his body. He's getting ready for the rest of the day. It's a land monitor.
It's a land monitor.
Very
common,
Let's hear about
One of the commonest
land
lizard-
monitors.
yeah, monitors in Sri Lanka, lizards in Sri Lanka, not lizards, reptiles in Sri Lanka. Now they are cold-blooded lizards. Lizards are all cold-blooded.
Cold-blooded.
Reptiles are all cold-blooded. So when there's a warm place, warm morning, they come to a place that's just to warm up its body. It's a very common sight here in Wilpattu, but it's very important part of the whole ecosystem. And even sometimes the leopards also eat monitor lizards.
Okay.
Very easy, they can easily catch them. And now this guy is having a good time with the morning's sunlight, and then warming up its body to start its daily routine, I guess.
We are on our final day of our couch safari of the Wilpattu National Park, the project made possible by GIZ, the German Development Corporation, together with the Department of Wildlife and Conservation and Sri Lanka Tourism.
I think we should all be very grateful for everybody involved who's
That's right.
helping us transmit these images, because
It's no easy task, right, to
neither
get
is
all
it
this.
yes, it's not an easy task, and it's also been a very tough time for people around the world. And I think these kind of images, this kind of program is just what everyone needs to get ready to get back to life, back to normal again.
Back to normal.
And what we're seeing right now is a red wattled lapwing, And this is a samba.
Okay.
Yes, it is a samba deer, and this is the largest type of deer. As I mentioned in our previous couch safari, the evening round,
That's
this
right.
is the largest type of deer in Sri Lanka. And this is the largest type of deer that you will witness at Wilpattu National Park. There's also two other species of deer that you will encounter if you ever visit. In addition to the samba deer, you see the spotted deer, who we encountered earlier, and on our previous couch safari. And there's also the mouse deer, which is the smaller species of deer you can find in Sri Lanka, and also the barking deer.
So 4 species of deer altogether.
Yes, look at this guy. It's coming all the way up to.
Wow. The boys over there are very lucky.
We were just driving past. We saw something big and brown just fly off. It was on the ground, close to the road, next to a small puddle of water. And it just flew off and landed on the tree over there. And to see it was an owl. I mean, everyone would expect an owl to be, something that you see in the night.
Night, yeah.
We've come across this owl, which is broad daylight, and I think it was taking a bath, wasn't it, Misu?
Yeah, it was taking a bath. Now it's preening.
Just
This is
tell us what type
one of
of
the
owl
largest
this is.
owls in Sri Lanka, called brownfish owl. And this is unlike all the other owl species. This is somewhat hanging around even in the daytime.
Okay.
Yeah, so we have seen very commonly in Wilpattu. I have been talking about this owl. We have not seen this owl. Fortunately, now we have
Got a
seen
glimpse
the
of
owl. Now he took a little bath here. There was a water puddle, and now it's preening. It's beautiful sight. These behaviors are fantastic. Not just sitting there, but the feather maintenance is a big part of every bird.
Okay.
Not only owls, but every bird, because that's one of the main part of their life. Flying is important.
And
Feather maintenance is important. So the bath and preening is a big part of bird's life. Any size of bird. It doesn't matter. It's a tiny hummingbird or a massive condors or albatrosses. Doesn't matter what type of bird, what size it is. They all have to maintain their feathers very carefully.
Right.
Yeah, what we're seeing right now is a typical feature of the dry zone environment and also the dry season. Earlier what we were seeing was the cracked up mud
That's right.
of bordering the Villu, which occurs when everything is very dry. And it's such a stark contrast to see the same land when it's during the wet
Exactly.
season.
So wildlife from
Yeah,
Lizards
what
too.
we're seeing right now is a beautiful fan-throated lizard, which is a. Oh, there we go.
wow.
I was just gonna explain as to
And
why
the
it was
colour.
called. Yeah,
That's beautiful.
and this is endemic to Sri Lanka as well. Look at that beautiful. It's called a gula sac, which is under its neck, and what you're seeing right now, it's fanning it.
And in a way, we miss this kind of sighting if we are physically there in a jeep, right? And thanks to the camera team that have actually got this footage for us.
Yeah, absolutely, and we're very lucky to be seeing this kind of behavior as well, because this lizard is trying to attract a girlfriend.
Ooh. So it looks like it's mating season somewhere in the wild.
Absolutely, it's
And-
mating season always in the wild.
Yes, and of course Vimukti and
Just come
Chandika.
across another fantastic bird. It's a hawk eagle, and we first heard it calling, and then you can also hear the squirrel going,
Yeah.
because it's calling out for the hawk eagle. Mr. Vimukti, let's tell our viewers a little bit about these hawk eagles. And
This is called raptors. The raptor birds, they are carnivorous birds most of the time. This one is common in Wilpattu and in the dry zone of Sri Lanka. And it's called changeable hawk here. This is white face, that means with the white color. There's a brownish face, or same species, but there's a brownish color tone, so that's called brown face. This is a white face. Sometimes the juveniles also has the sort of white breast area, but this one is on alert. Look at the way he's just turning around his head and looking at everything.
Now that's a contrast to what we saw previously on the banks of the Willow, right? The cracked up dried earth,
Yeah.
and now we have lush green here.
Oh, here we go. Here's another very interesting little bird. It's called a yellow wagtail. These are also migrants, which indicate the first wave of migration of birds coming into Sri Lanka. There are hundreds of species of birds that migrate to Sri Lanka and across Sri Lanka, and the yellow wagtail is one of the interesting little avian species that you see landing in our island and in Wilpattu National Park just when the northern hemisphere is starting to get a little colder.
And once again, the butterflies, Yasas, you mentioned earlier, I think.
These butterflies are most likely to be common, a collection of common and Sri Lankan albatross. They're called albatrosses, these butterflies. Oh, and this yellow wagtail. What's interesting, Monique, is that Sri Lanka is the last southern landmass that's there in South Asia. And as you can see, this is why it's called a wagtail, because it's
Wagging its tail. Obviously.
Yeah. Sometimes these names are very direct. People might wonder how they get the name, and it becomes pretty obvious once
You don't have to think too far. So Vimukti and Chandika once again.
This is a smaller cupping, Kurutupandi. This is much smaller than the one that we have seen yesterday. See, he's just watching us.
How old do you think he must be?
Maybe a 1-year-old cub, no? Less than that.
Probably close to a year.
Yeah, close to a year.
I think he's been playing a lot. He's panting quite a bit.
He's panting. Yeah, he's panting. But he's fully alert of the surroundings. Mother is away, I think. So that is why he's just.
But isn't it a big risk to leave a cub this size?
I know. Yeah.
But he also seems very, very curious about us.
Yeah.
And this is the age that they're probably learning a lot.
Especially within their home range, where the mother is usually, keep this animal and leave. When the mother is away, they usually play, trying to explore a very small area of its range. And usually the female cubs establish their territories closer to the mother's natal area, closer to their natal area.
This couch safari of the Wilpattu National Park is just amazing, and we would like to thank the chairperson and managing director of Sri Lanka Tourism, GIZ, and the Department of Wildlife Conservation for giving us the opportunity to experience the wonder of Wilpattu.
Absolutely, Monique. And we're very lucky to be experiencing this kind of program. And we welcome everyone and thank everyone for joining in with us today. We'll be going into a short break. Or not.
No, I
sorry.
think we've got
My
Vimukthi
apologies.
and Chandika once again. Let's hope.
There's a troop of grey langurs. Yeah, it's quite a bit, quite a large troop. There's just broken into two segments. I think they are sort of chilling in the shade. All three species of monkeys, which is macaques, grey langurs, and purple face leaf monkey. Purple face leaf monkey is mostly in the wet zone of lowland areas of Sri Lanka, but there's a dry zone subspecies which is also in Wilpattu National Park, especially in the riverine area. Not mostly within this interior part of the park, but mostly in the riverine forest areas. That is quite rare, the purple face leaf monkey. Other two are very common, which is the grey langur and talk macaques.
Right.
Yeah.
That guy has no care in this world.
Yeah.
Belly down on that branch, feet and arms, tail all spread.
There's a tiny one is coming to play with him. Oh, look at that.
Look at that.
That's a very small one.
Yeah. This one must be a previous, must be a sibling.
Yeah, must be sibling.
Monique, Wilpattu is such a beautiful and fascinating place, and being one of the largest national parks in Sri Lanka, there's so much to explore. What we're seeing right now is a typical villu, which makes Wilpattu National Park what it is. These are natural depressions in the earth. Sri Lanka, you don't find in Sri Lanka you don't find natural lakes really, except for in Wilpattu, and there are about 50 villus which sustain this land and make it seem as lush as it is.
Luscious indeed, because look at that color, the green as opposed to the dry land, the banks of the previous villu we witnessed a few minutes back.
And this, what we're seeing, is another aspect of Wilpattu National Park, which is another distinct ecosystem, dry zone, shrub, jungle that you see. There are many different ecosystems within Wilpattu National Park, as many as 10 different types of ecosystems, I could tell. And this is one of the most prevalent of all of it. And in Wilpattu, you get to see, besides these dry zone scrubland, rainforest, villus such as this, you get different types of wetlands, like mangrove habitats closer to the rivers. Villus, of course, aren't sustained by anything except rainwater, because they don't have an inflow or an outflow. It's a collection of rainwater. And what we can see here is a little group of painted storks and black-headed ibis. We can also see a woolly neck stork on the left side.
That's right.
Actually, there's a pair of woolly neck storks, and on the bottom you see like a small herd of buffalo making their way through this looks like a lake, actually.
And they're just enjoying the cool of the morning, isn't it?
Yeah. This is a tank, actually. This is not a villu. Wilpattu also has a bunch of man-made tanks which can be credited to the ancient hydraulic civilization of Sri Lanka. And this particular tank is on the southern border of Wilpattu National Park. And look at how idyllic and beautiful it is.
We have something coming up from Vimukthi and Chandika in just a few seconds. And thank you.
Hi everyone. So we're out of the park now. We've got down. We've come to an end. So we've come to the end of a fascinating safari in Wilpattu National Park. We've seen animals, we've seen history, we've seen geography, we've seen
trees and plants, yeah.
Everything. I mean, we've done like a holistic view on Wilpattu National Park. Mr. Vimukthi has been giving us all his knowledge. He's been sharing all his knowledge on all these aspects. And now we've come out. We've come to the end. We're done. We're about to head back home, so I'm just going to let Mr. Vimukti finish off with a few words on the park itself, and also maybe a few words to people who are getting ready to visit and see the park.
We have done a lot. This is the largest national park and the oldest national park in Sri Lanka, and there are a lot to see, and we are just touched that we just exposed the fraction of the national park. There are a lot more to explore, lot more to learn, and I don't think we will be able to cover within few days of shooting or few months of exploring this park. Sometimes 30-40 years may not be enough to look at the value of this national park. That is why it was declared in 1938 and continue to protect for the people of this country. So all the wildlife lovers, all the Sri Lankans, I invite them to come here and respect to the park, respect to its inhabitants, and try to explore as much as you can, because there are a lot more, as Chandika said. There's history, there's prehistory, there's a geological history, and there's a fauna, flora, and many more things to learn. That is, the final message is, you respect this national park, you respect its inhabitants, and you will be amazed to see the wildlife and many nature dynamics within this national park. And it's a heritage for Sri Lanka, and don't think that it is a job of Department of Wildlife Conservation to protect it. It's a job of everyone. Every Sri Lankan has a role to play, and just try to find out what is that role and try to contribute for the conservation of not only this national park but also the natural wealth of Sri Lanka.
Exactly.
So that's all I have to say.
Yeah.
I think we have done a good job, and we had
a good time as well. We had fun. We saw a lot of things,
and so we'll see.
We'll see. And I think so. That's a wrap. Hope you guys enjoyed the show, and hopefully we might see you again sometime soon.
Yep.
I will.
A big shout out to everyone who's helped us. Thank you very much, Vimukti and Chandika, for bringing us these amazing visuals from Wilpattu National Park. And just before we sign out too from here, I would like to give a helpful tip or two for people who are planning a visit to Wilpattu National Park. If you haven't ever been to Wilpattu National Park, let me tell you something. There's so much to see that even a weekend's worth of travel will not be able to give you. You could come and explore, as Vimukti said, so much, and to take years for you to actually see and experience everything in the park, and there could be so much more that you'd experience if you keep coming regularly. But if you're planning a trip, the best way to do is to try and come for at least a couple of days, where you could sneak in about 3 park rounds. Early morning park round is a must and would give you the best opportunity to spot the most amount of wildlife. And of course, during the weekdays, if you manage to visit the park during the weekdays, it's a very good time to have the whole park to yourself, really, because there's less people visiting on weekdays. And the weekend, you could expect to have a little more congestion from people visiting the park.
And this has been an amazing wildlife stream of the Wilpattu National Park. The project made possible by GIZ, which is the German Development Corporation, together with the Department of Wildlife and Conservation and Sri Lanka Tourism, that brought us the wonders of Wilpattu National Park with the aim of promoting Sri Lanka's wildlife to the world. We have to thank all of our partners, tourism stakeholders and travel enthusiasts who supported by promoting this event. A special thank you to Tivanka Pereira from Eagle Creations, Wilpattu Safari Camp staff, Namal Kamal Goda, Daryl Bartholomews, Christopher Rebert, and our Safari Jeep team, Hemantha Vimalasena, Pathum Nelia, and Isira Umanga. Also, a big thank you to the Ministry of Defence, Sri Lanka Police, the Air Force, Civil Aviation Authority, and officers of the Wildlife Department for their support. And of course, we have to give a big thank you, say a big thank you to the entire production team, the camera crew, everyone who just supported this event, and of course Vimukti and Chandika. Thank you so much, Yasas, for sharing so much information during this action-packed 1 hour. So
thank you, Connie. Thank you. Well, it was my pleasure, and I hope everyone joining in enjoyed witnessing Wilpattu National Park. If this is your first time, we hope you really visit the national park and experience it for yourself.
And I think we all learned something, a lot, not something, but a lot from you, as well as from Vimukti and Chandika. And so we thank all of you for joining us. What an adventure it has been. We cannot wait for the next one. Until next time, take care and see you later.